and welcome to Being Me. I'm Ruthie Tessler, one of the Being Me Teen Mind Matters podcast hosts. And I'm here with my co-host, Juan Bendana. How's it going, Juan?
It's going good. It's going good. Can't complain. Things are great. We are rocking and rolling to an amazing start of the year and just happy to be here. How are things in your world?
A little bit stressful. I don't know if anyone tried to kill each other with silly string. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's like a big money pot at the end that I don't really care about. I just the first week and I don't want to lose on the first week. And my partner just got killed. And we're trying to dispute it, but it doesn't look so good for us because someone was hiding in my partner's car. And when she opened her own car, she got shot with silly string.
Of course, there must be out of bounds or off limits because I feel like it'd be really easy to get someone out. You just go up to them. Yeah.
So school, work, volunteer, and sports if you're wearing floaties. You have to look stupid and wear floaties while you're playing your sport.
That makes you safe.
Or if you're at a sports game, you don't have to wear floaties, but you're only safe during the official hours. And then when the game is over, you're not safe. So my friend was at a tennis tournament. It was supposed to end at 5:30 and it ended at 5:15. As she was walking to her car, she got killed. But we're trying to say because parking lots are off limit if it's not the official time, if it's during the official game time, that we're trying to say she should be dead, but I don't think it's going to work. So now I have to kill both of my targets on my own this week because each team gets 2 targets per week. And if I don't kill them, we're both out by the end of the week. I'm just planning the rest of my week accordingly to try to kill my targets, but it's hard. So
an exciting time, to say the least.
I might just have to accept my fate and die, which because of school and everything, maybe it's better if I'm not playing the game right now.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, sorry about that. I want to know what music you're listening to, what shows you're watching, movies, anything.
Honestly, the one thing that sticks out to me was that it took me this long to watch Dune 1. I watched it like 4 days ago. And then I watched Dune 2 2 days ago. And it was genuinely very good. I thought it was exceptionally done. They set up kind of like a third movie. And I feel like that was the best movie that has been released in the theaters in a while. Really? I feel like a lot of releases as of late have kind of been flops a little bit, but that was great.
When it came out, I couldn't follow it. It was so slow that I feel like I need to rewatch it before I can watch Dune 2.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Completely agree.
Music?
Honestly, I'm super boring when it comes to music. I'm a Spotify person through and through. So I will do Discover Weekly or Release Radar are my 2 main playlists where I will find new music. But driving to different places, I will just put on one of those playlists and it is a mix of country and rap and Spanish music and just everything under the sun. So nothing specifically. What about you?
I recently created a playlist of just a bunch of the essentials albums of artists that I want to learn more about. And, you know, like music that I feel like I should know that I don't know, that I need to teach myself. I have Grateful Dead, Fish, the 1975, Tame Impala, Shania Twain, Jasmine Sullivan. It's a really weird group. Leon Bridges is on there.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of random, pretty famous artists or bands that I felt like I was lacking knowledge of, all on one big playlist that's 32 hours long.
Oh, wow.
Play on shuffle all the time. Yeah, and what I'm watching... I'm watching Glee for the first time right now. I'm on season 4. And I also watched One Day, that new Netflix show. If you don't want to cry, don't watch it. It is the most depressing thing I've ever watched.
Okay.
So sad. And I heard that going into it and I still watched it, but whatever.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? I watched it. Yeah, I heard that Hollywood now has to make really, really sad movies and shows. They don't want the predictable happy ending anymore.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of movies are just remade versions of movies that have already been done.
Yeah, so they're trying to...
Because they're running out of creative juices.
They're trying to do away with the happy ending to throw a curveball out at people.
Well, that's sad. That's sad. Don't sign me up for that.
Yeah. I like the basic storyline of they end up in love and happy ever after.
Yeah. Let me root for a main character. Let them live happily ever after so that I can model them and do the same thing, please.
I agree. Okay. Moving on to segment 2, we're going to answer some questions from our BeMe Teen Advisory Board. Get ready for some hot takes, you guys.
Here we go. Feeling dicey.
Question 1. Kelly from Overland Park, Kansas is asking, I'm so shy. I try to put myself out there, but I really struggle to break out. So I'm guessing the question is, how do I break out more? So
yeah,
you should start with that one.
So I'll take a different approach in saying that as someone who used to be shy is asking the question back onto you, Kelly from Overland Park, Kansas. What makes you feel shy? What is that shyness? The shyness is a result of thinking or feeling that the way that you behave or how you put yourself out there or how you expose yourself to a different group or a group of friends or in a presentation or in a classroom, whatever it is going to lead to a negative result, is going to lead to people judging you. So shyness is really saying, I'm afraid of what people are going to think of me. That's number one. Because the shyness is like, oh, I'm afraid people are going to judge me. People are going to make fun of me. People are going to look at me differently. So I think, at least in my personal experience, my shyness was really fear. It was afraid of not fitting in, of being excluded. And I think what you're doing is the right thing of putting yourself out there consistently, not once for 5 minutes and calling it courage, saying I'm going to do it every single week. I'm going to say hi to new people. I'm going to make friends that I would have never made last year. I'm going to decide to present in this class. I'm going to raise my hand and share my idea. I'm going to do that consistently because, Kelly, you've got to think if you do that every single week for a year, you're going to be kind of a different person in a year from now. But most people can't stick to that kind of horizon. They do one thing once, they get rejected or they fail, and then they're like, I guess I'm a shy person. I should go back into my shell. It's like, no. To break out of your shell consistently means putting yourself in those environments consistently, being uncomfortable and being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So that's my take. Ruthie, what do you think?
I agree. I was going to say fake it till you make it, but I didn't want to sound so dense, maybe. At least for me, I know I struggled socially for a very long time. And the second I just started pretending like I wasn't nervous, I found it a lot easier to not be nervous. Because if you feel like you're putting out these shy and anxious vibes to people, you'll feel their vibes coming back to you and they're not going to be good. But if you are radiating confident energy, even if it's fake confidence. I know a lot of friends who are very insecure and shy, but they have this crazy magnetic almost vibe to them because they're faking it and it works for them because once they pretend to be like this, they are like that. I don't know if that makes sense.
You put that on enough, then you start to believe it and then you start to become it for sure.
Yeah, it becomes a habit. And it becomes easier, and then you notice people want to be around you more, and that makes you feel even better, and that makes you genuinely less shy, and it's just all very circular. It works very well. I know a lot of friends who have given me this advice, and I've taken it and done pretty well with it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Question 2 is from Fiona from Rutland, Vermont, and she wants to know, I can't do anything right for my parents, like nothing. Everything is just a fight. What are some tips to help break this cycle? Whoa.
Do you want to go or you want me to go off?
I will just say that I'm very lucky to have 2 parents who respect the hell out of me. And I think it's very important to have mutual respect with any authority figure. That's teachers, coaches, parents, anything. I talked about this in the last episode, how I don't let coaches be jerks to me. And I just think that it's very important, especially you're 16 years old, to know that you're very close to being an adult and that you deserve respect from your parents. And if you can't do anything right for your parents, I don't know how to do right things for your parents, but I think if you just communicate that you're trying your hardest and that you would appreciate if they appreciated that, maybe something will get through to them.
Do we have the hot take button or the hot take alert? Fiona, listen. And for anyone listening that has parents where you feel like whatever you do, it's not enough for them, because I definitely fall in that camp. My mom was, like Ruthie, the most supportive, loving. Anything that I could do was just the best thing in the world. My dad was the exact opposite. My dad was, no matter what I did, everything needed to be perfect. So I never felt like I was, because that's an impossible standard. And a lot of times our parents, because of the generation they grew up in, have an impossible standard for you to meet that you never feel like you will, which naturally makes you feel like you're not enough. It isn't that you're not good enough. It's that they have a standard that is based on how they grew up, not on how you grew up. So it isn't about trying to win their approval. Ruthie, to your point, sometimes when you say, like, I would just like to communicate, I want to be appreciated, some parents won't listen to that. Some parents can't hear you because they're stuck in their story and they're stuck in their own cycle that was brought upon their grandmothers, etc., into generations. So instead of focusing on breaking the cycle, it's intentionally deciding what you want to do with the circumstance you're in. It is not about saying that I need to figure out how I can do something right for them, because for me, I could never do anything right for my dad, ever, whatsoever. It was never enough. I would hammer a nail, he would hit it one more time. I would move something, he would just move it just a little more. Everything needed to be perfect, and I never felt like I was. So instead, I flipped that to say, okay, I'm not going to try and be perfect. I'm going to try and be better. I'm going to translate that into, I'm just going to work on being excellent. I want to grow. I want to progress. And that's where I found my self-worth. That's where I found the feeling of, I feel like I'm enough. I didn't find it in him. I found it outside of that relationship, outside of like, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work out and get in good shape. I'm going to work on school and I'm going to get better grades. I'm going to build this business while I'm still in school and figure it out, even though I've never started a business before. I'm going to work on this because then I gain confidence by giving myself proof. So Fiona, I would say that it isn't about trying to do everything right for your parents. It's trying to do everything right for yourself. And that starts by investing in your own growth, because when you commit to growing as a human being, you're going to find that enoughness that isn't going to be required from a parent, a friend, a family member, or anyone.
So what I took from that is breaking the cycle with your parents might not be possible, but you can break the cycle with your own children. You can pass it on to the next generation. If you're not planning on having kids, like, just be better to your friends, but everything with your parents, just a fight. You're 16, you're out in 2 years, and you're your own person. And
yeah, this stops here. This stops here.
Exactly.
For sure.
Okay, moving on to segment 3, where we are talking about surviving the winter slump. Well, I want to start by acknowledging that this winter slump, seasonal depression, whatever you want to call it, is genuine. It is a real thing. Cold weather and just the middle of the school year is scientifically proven to make anyone's spirits a little bit lower. You're not lazy for experiencing any of this. It's natural. I'm experiencing it a lot right now. I'm going through a major slump. I'm a senior, and my senior superlative was worst senioritis. I have it with me, showing it to Juan right now. Just paper. So I can attest to a winter slump being a very real thing. What do you think, Juan?
I definitely think it is a real thing that is felt across almost every place, regardless of climate. Yeah, sure, shorter days, colder weather, but even in tropical climates, there still is this seasonal depression that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people experience it. And I would say that even in the research, you'll see this, where the shorter days, the colder weather, all of the academic pressure, all of this stuff happening oftentimes are triggers, not the contributing factor. So a lot of times there's, okay, it's so cold outside. What's that doing? That's focusing on the fact that it's really cold outside. Well, the days are shorter. Well, that's focusing on the fact that the days are shorter. That's bad. There's a ton of academic pressure, senioritis, applications. All of these things are all things that feel a little bit out of your control and not great news. Not great news, out of your control. It can lead to this slump. And what I think the number one idea around slumps, because a lot of people have New Year's slumps, which actually happens. There's this thing called fresh start theory, which is basically why people have a ton of energy at the beginning of the year on their birthday, Christmas, holidays, Hanukkah. People have these spikes of energy where they feel really good. And they're like, this is my fresh start. This is my reset. The reason for that is because it is this fresh start. I can do something different now. When slumps come around, it really is a culmination of all of these quote unquote negative circumstances happening, which are completely valid, but they're also choices to focus on only those things, where I don't see it as, okay, this is a slump for the winter and all of these terrible things. What's wrong is always there. It's always available, but so is what's right. There's a lot of people in the summer when it's pouring rain, they complain about it's raining, but they don't get excited about that it's summer. A lot of people go on vacation and they're complaining about the delayed flight as opposed to being excited about where they're flying to. So we just have a perspective problem where it's okay, valid that you have these slumps and it affects your mood and your motivation and you feel lazy and procrastinated. But again, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Because our problems are things other people would be grateful for. So what are you actually going to do? And see those things as moment in time. It's like when people say, I'm having a terrible week. No, you're not. You've had a series of really terrible moments that have just happened in a week in seemingly sequential order that you've wrapped up and called it a terrible week. Wrapped it up in a bow, put it in a box, put it under the tree, and called it a terrible week. No, it's not a terrible week. You've had a bunch of terrible moments, but people generalize. And when you generalize, you loop all of these negative emotions together. You loop all of these negative feelings together and you call it, I've been having a terrible start to the year. I'm in a winter slump. I've been having a bad week. This year's just not for me. I'm riding the struggle bus this year. Oh, can it be summer already? So you loop all of these negative things into one bucket. I'm just a big fan of separating those things and just seeing the terrible moments. The sad moments, the lazy moments, the frustrating moments, the annoying moments, getting silly stringed. That's an annoying moment. But a lot of people would say, oh, this is a bad week. So I kind of see that like separation is really helpful with the whole slump. Okay, it's winter. Sure, there's a lot going on. It's freezing outside. It's dark. It's exams. It's applications. I have no time for myself. I haven't been able to have time to eat in 4 days. There's so much. But those are a bunch of moments. So then how do you create better moments throughout your week, regardless of whether it's winter or not? That's kind of my view on it.
I agree. This winter slump is a very real thing and it can happen to the best of us, but it also isn't inevitable. And it isn't, once you start to see yourself falling into a slump that you're just plummeting and you can't pick yourself back up. There's ways, I guess, to regain that motivation to, as my generation would say, lock in and get back on the grind.
Lock in. Separation season. Let's go.
So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take it one assignment at a time, 1 hour at a time, one water polo practice at a time. Just
sounds like some small wins.
I'm the goalie in water polo. If I make one really good block, even though I missed 50, it could be a good day. My grades right now, not very good. That doesn't mean my grades at the end of the quarter are not going to be very good. I still have time to pick them up. I still have time to get some more assignments in to study for the next test, even though I maybe didn't do well on the last one. There's always ways to make it better. Just because you're not doing your absolute best doesn't mean you have to do terribly. Mm-hmm. You don't have to give up. You don't have to give up. And whoever is listening, I'm in the same boat as anyone, and we can not give up together. And if you need any professional tips, because I'm still a 17-year-old girl, you can reach out to any of the BeMe coaches on the BeMe app, which is free to download on Google Play and the App Store. And you can also access some self-care tips from Juan and other people who work at BeMe on the app. So I urge you to download that if you haven't already. And That being said, this has been a great conversation, Juan. Thank you.
It has. Thank you for everyone tuning in. And until next time, this is Juan Bendana, my co-host, Ruthie Tessler, and our amazing podcast producer, Derek Baird, reminding you to keep being you.
Teen Mind Matters is a BeMe podcast and a BeMe Studios production for BeMe Health.